Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Enter the Ether, the podcast all about the upcoming third-person MOBA Ethereal Clash of Souls. I almost said new podcast. It's not new. We've been doing this for a little bit. I am your host, the Mangoose. Joining me, as always, you all know him, you all love him. It's the Ether Bunny himself, JellyKnees. How you doing, Jelly?
The Ether Bunny. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's what you are.
I'm doing great, Mangoose. Happy to be here and happy to talk about our apparently Amish friend who works at UG. So,
the beautiful Skifter. Good looking dude. Needs to trim up the beard or braid it or something, I think, though.
No, he can't. He's
in
Amish.
He's in the
Once
between.
He's married. It's just full grow the beard. There's no excuse for it. That's it. It explains it perfectly. Plus, he just had a baby, so he's really not trimming the thing now. Even
Yeah,
if
I know, right? He's locked in with the community.
Oh my goodness. That community corner though was great to have Skifter on. I honestly, I'll admit though, while we're talking about Skifter and looking at Skifter, his eyes distracted me throughout the entire thing. Like they just had that like perfect glisten to them. Oh man, I don't know what it was, but I was like falling in love with him through the screen, just like Skifter. Holy crap, please.
We were talking about in the Discord, like part of the application process for UG must be to send in a headshot. Like,
yep.
They only hire beautiful people.
100%.
Ugh. Nox is over there being handsome as always, and then you got to bring in Skifter.
Yeah, no,
we need to find out what Owen and Kai look like. That's what we need to find out.
Agreed. 100%. If you've got pictures, leak them. Just send them to me in a DM. It's fine.
Not nude ones, though. I don't want to see them naked.
I mean, I'll take them. That's blackmail. So, I mean, as a creator, I kind of need like a little bit of way to grease the wheel.
A little bit of leverage.
Yeah. Ethereal went, Owen, and slide this envelope across the desk. Like,
oh, that's great. But yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about this week, folks, is the community corner. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the Marina Spotlight. We've already started to get into the community corner, so why don't we dig in there? This was the second community corner that they had. I was expecting these to come out a little more often than what they have been, but they haven't. But this one was pretty good. They answered quite a few questions, and they got into kind of like how they develop a character overall, like their kit, and then goes to lore, and then lore sends it over to art and that sort of thing. Pretty neat stuff to hear. Jelly, do you have any thoughts on it, on all that?
Overall, I think it was just nice to hear kind of the little intricacies and what they think about when they're going into those details and those design choices. So overall, I think great to hear, and I think it gave the community a lot of perspective on what they were looking for.
Right. One important, I think, thing that Skifter mentioned was that they do want these kits to feel very similar to pre-established games, to make it easier for veteran players as well as new players to get in and be able to play the myths like right from the get-go and kind of understand how they're supposed to work a little bit.
Which we've talked about a little bit in the past, that's not a bad thing. Having these intro characters that are easy to pick up because you've played them in other places allows you to be comfortable on that aspect while you learn the new aspects of items, the day cycle, the class abilities, the familiars. Like there's a lot of other intricacies to learn on top of your character. So I think that's a great way to do it.
It was nice to hear it straight from Skifter. That's for sure. Then what else did we have here? They were talking about they wanted all the kits to have some sort of synergy to them, and they seem to have a lot of synergy as far as like I think it's clearly evident whenever you look at these spotlights what you're going to want to do with each myth. Like he specifically said Talos, but I think even Dante and Marina and everybody else.
And Malaya's got her lifesteal. Dante's all about like there's one core kind of theme, it seems like, for each myth that they tie their abilities tie around and are usually interacted with, which I think is a great way to do that.
Right. And then I forget what I was going to say. I had something to say and I completely forgot. It must not have been important. Oh yeah, it was something Big Fat Gamer brought up in the comments of my Marina Spotlight video was they all have dots. Dante's the only one that doesn't have some sort of damage over time effect. They're all magical damage over time too.
They do. What the heck?
Yeah, right?
Now, yeah, like now that's weird to me that Dante
When he
does
said that, I
something
was
they
like,
all
holy
do.
shit, yeah, they really do.
Huh. I wonder how that's gonna work. It's gonna feel like just an easy way to just cluster on somebody, just all the dots, all the time.
You're going to have one of those team fights where everybody clashes together and realizes they don't actually want to fight and pull apart, and then like 5 people are going to die on each team just from dots. Like you're going to have so many, like you're going to have a dot from Iran on you. You're going to be walking through Riptide. You're going to have Malaya bleed on you. You're going to have Talos bleed on you.
Bleed.
That's a lot of freaking dot damage to try and keep track of.
I'm curious to see if the bleeds specifically are considered the same dot. So if it'll just refresh the bleed rather than apply it twice, or if they're being considered 2 separate bleed abilities. One, like Malaya has her own bleed and Talos has his own bleed. So I can apply that to you in both ways. And basically you take double damage as a bleed. Yeah, overall, I mean, that's going to make any kind of like cleansing of dots really strong initially.
Yeah.
Because in a team fight, you receive all the abilities, you cleanse that out, and that's like half of the damage just gone right there. That's a lot. I'm not sure how I feel about this now.
Yeah, I just kind of brought it up in passing, but yeah, when I really think about the gameplay implications, you can have Iran's fire from his fists, and then Malaya's bleed, Talos bleed, and then Marina. And
yeah.
Am I missing somebody?
If the protect, Leah is the only other one we don't know about.
Yeah, I'm almost certain that now that Noxus is going to have some sort of magic damage over time.
Yeah, I would imagine she would in some fashion. But if the protect or reinforcement loadout trees have any kind of, or the loadout spells have any kind of cleanse effect, that's gonna be insane. Like that's something that could definitely be really, really strong. And may require carries to take those loadouts because of that ability.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It would be like the Paragon armor meta all over. Did you play Paragon during the armor meta?
Unfortunately, I did.
Yeah, if you guys didn't play like early Paragon, there was a time when every carry had to build armor, like a crap ton of it too. Yeah, if you were going to be any kind of successful in the match.
I feel like though, that's one of those things for a MOBA. Like they always have these weird metas that just show up that shouldn't exist, but they just do. And so that you make the devs go like, why is this a thing? Like what, what are we, how did we A, not see this coming, and B, what do we do now that it does exist?
How did we end up here?
5 dots. That's how you end up here. And then watch
something they're going to have to keep an eye on.
Well, most likely someone like Chief of Kaika is going to have a dot. I would expect
kind of burn. You're right.
Acheron is going to have some kind of dot.
You think so?
Because his sword's got that like flaming or the red hot glow to it. I would assume he's going to have some kind of burn attached to him. I'm trying to like I feel like a lot of people could have a dot attached. And yeah, that's terrifying to think about.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks, Mangoose. I'm just going to lie awake at night.
Don't thank me. Thank Big Fat Gamer. He's the one that brought it to my attention. I wasn't even thinking about it. Because, well, him and I have been going back and forth talking about how we're going to make really annoying bleed builds for Malaya and Talos. Just a crap load of armor and magic damage and just bleed people out and never die.
And so speaking of that, actually, they talked specifically in the community corner about physical lifesteal versus magical lifesteal.
Right.
And how the bleed would interact with that. So bleeds are, because they're going to be magic damage, you need magic lifesteal in order to get health back from that. So someone like Talos, who's going to be more, or Malaya, or who are physical damage based, may not have the magical lifesteal to have their bleed give them the health over time. But Malaya is going to have plenty of lifesteal besides, so who knows what's going to happen there.
I think building magic lifesteal on Malaya would be a waste.
Yeah, a little bit. But I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the Tinfoil Task Force got mentioned on a community corner.
Oh, yeah.
That means we're official. This is a official Ethereal Canon Task Force. We've done it. Good job, team. Proud of every single one of you. Because Skifter specifically mentioned that Malaya's ultimate only ever states lifesteal. Not specifically physical lifesteal. So it's actually going to apply both physical and magical lifesteal. But he calls out. He's like, I thought some tinfoil task force would notice that before I had to say something about it. It's like, hey, I'm just happy you're calling me out, right? What? I'll take the win.
Yeah. They reiterated the ability to that the class passives are there, that you're going to have the ability to fly, climb stuff, and break stuff. I was happy to hear that in the community corner because I haven't heard them say anything about the class passives in a very long time. And you know, they had to redo the map so that everything isn't stacked right on top of each other. It's more spread out. And there's other things like the overseers that they're just not going to be in the alpha. And they did mention that, the overseers in the community corner. But I was a little scared that some of that stuff was going to the wayside for now. But I guess it will be there. Breaking stuff, climbing stuff, and flying around.
Yeah, other than like in passing in the Discord, we really haven't heard them talk about the classes since the Extra Life test in November.
Right.
So it's been quite some time. And then before that, it was a long time before that as well. So good to hear that that's still something that's in there. I didn't even think about the fact that they could be going to the wayside, or at least for the pre-alpha, until they kind of brought it up. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, it's been quite a bit since anything's happened there.
I'm happy to hear, because that's part of the appeal for me for this game is those class passives.
And so, I mean, Noxus talked about like the Myth's personality and what events happened in their life to get them to where they are now, as we're going to see them in the game, which I think is another cool little detail for people that like lore, for people that like knowing the background of their character and getting into that character's life story. That's such a cool little detail to have. And I think
he's
it's really
specifically
cool
talking about traumatic events that shape them, really. And when you look at a lot of the lore, it really does mention a lot of like their growing up. I think Talos doesn't really mention it at all. Aron didn't grow up; he just
was born. Yeah,
he was kind of created.
But even Dee Dee talked about that with us when she was on the show. Is that Malaya's background is really like sad and just I can't think of the right word now, but that she had a hard life and is kind of getting up to that point, and so getting into that character with that kind of background, which is a cool detail that even they're taking it into account with the voices, the lore, everything about the characters embodying those events, which is a nice detail.
Right. And then something I zeroed in on immediately, and then when you had a chance to watch the community gore, you couldn't watch it live. But like as soon as you watched it, this was the first thing you said to me in Discord, grabs. The way he's talking about grabs. Yeah, the way Skifter was talking about grabs was that as if there's more than just Aron grabbing people in this game.
Yep, 100%.
Jelly, what'd you think?
that was tinfoil task force hat on, the whole 9 yards. Literally the first moment he's like, yeah, so the grabs in the game, and I paused the video. I was like, S. There's an S on the end of that. That's the grabs. We did it. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to me, right? Aron having the only grab in the game, I would feel like a surprise. Even though it fits his kit really well and kind of that feeling. The fact that that's a mechanic means I definitely expect it to show up in the future. But that means that there are myths we either may or may not know about that probably already have that as a mechanic as well.
Yeah. Well, grab your tinfoil hat, because I think I might be about to blow your mind here.
Okay.
You're actually grabbing it.
I'm grabbing it. We're doing it. We're here. What's up?
Okay. Grabs. Sky Slayers. What if the Sky Slayers have a grab?
What? No.
Yes. Wait. What if a Sky Slayer could grab you, pick you up,
and then drop your Talon claw people?
Yes.
Dude. Yes. What if so? But that could go both ways. That could go offensively, and that could go for your allies as well. That I like pick up the mid laner and drag them up to another lane with me. Oh my God, Mangoose! See, there's so much potential there. I love that though. That would be such a cool little detail.
I thought of that as well. The offensive capability of grabbing an ally, but the potential to troll people, I think, outweighs how cool that would be, because people would definitely be grabbing their allies and dropping them off the sides of cliffs and shit.
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
I would grab you and toss you off the side of a cliff, no question.
And I would laugh my ass off if that happened. However, most people would not.
No,
Most people
if
would be
somebody
very
grabbed
angry.
me, if somebody grabbed me and tossed me off a cliff, oh, you guarantee I'd be in chat, be like, "What are you doing?"
I was playing Heroes of the Storm the other day, and they got Garrosh who can throw people, and you can take a talent where you can throw your own people. We had a guy that was upset with the way the game was going, and started grabbing random people, members of his team, of the team I was on, and throwing them directly into the middle of the enemy, and just that trolliness. Oh, I exited that game very stressed out because I was playing a glass cannon hero, and I was having to watch the enemy team, what they were doing at all times, and also pay attention to make sure he wasn't walking towards me in an attempt to throw me into the enemy team. Ugh.
I love it. That's so kind of talking about grabs. I don't think I mentioned it last week, but I asked Burb and Kai after Iran's spotlight if Iran could run off the edge and grab a Sky Slayer midair.
Right.
And they said it hadn't happened in their testing yet, but that it's theoretically possible, which means that I have to be the first person to do this. And I'll just endlessly play Iran and just run off the edge when I see a Sky Slayer coming, hoping that I get that midair grab. And even if it suicides us both, because we're both in combat now, I would love for that to happen, to be a thing. And I feel like you're going to see montages of people doing that for sure.
Yeah. I think what would happen is I think you would stop midair once you grabbed them. I don't think you would have momentum going forward.
Yeah.
And then what I would do is accidentally hit the button and throw them to safety just as I fall to my own death.
Oh man, it would just be so much fun to do that.
Oh yeah, it would.
That's the thing I think excites me most about these classes, and even the characters from the kits we've seen, is some of the like cool potential interactions you might have, or potential things that you could do. For instance, I wasn't going to reveal this because I wanted to try it out first, but with the Reapers, one of the thoughts I have had is if you can use the class ability midair, you could jump off of a lane and in theory kind of use your momentum to turn yourself around and grab onto the edge and climb back up. If you could do that, you could essentially juke somebody. They think you're jumping down toward Void Lane. You end up juking them, climb back up, and they jump off, and now you're safe because what are they going to do? So there are a lot of intricate things like that you might be able to do with a lot of these classes that I can't wait to try.
Yeah, that would be a lot like rocket boots juking in Paragon was, where you jump rocket boost back up or assault the gates with Greystone. Yeah, that's really cool. The thing I was thinking with Sky Slayers is, or not Sky Slayers, but Reapers, was running up a tree as a Sky Slayer's coming in, like on Malaya, dashing through them, applying a bleed, and then dashing back through them, and just hitting them with a whole bunch of damage while they're in midair. They would just never expect that to be coming.
And I feel like we could go endlessly on a lot of these things. I know, right? Because the hypotheticals are all there and theoretically doable in a lot of cases. So we're going to have, I'm sure, plenty of videos of you and I doing some of those things where we juke somebody or kill a Sky Slayer midair or Iran grab them or whatever it may be. Also, UG, if there's a myth with talons that picks up an ally and takes them to other lanes, we claim 10% of the profits made off of that myth.
We're claiming another one, baby. We're claiming
just
another
saying.
one.
I don't care if it's already done. You haven't made it public. We're making it public. That's it. It's our IP now. So
awesome. Oh, they wouldn't need to have talents. Maybe Zero just spears people and then
whatever it takes. If they pick up an ally and drop them off somewhere, it's ours. But toward the end of grabs again, something that they mentioned that I am nervous about is that persistence doesn't work on grabs.
Right.
And their logic was that persistence would be too strong against somebody like Iran, whose grab is going to be a large integral part of his kit. I totally get that. But having it that a hard crowd control can't be reduced at all seems like that's going to be too strong.
Yeah. Well, I guess the slam can be reduced. Like if you get slammed to the ground and stunned, that would be reduced.
But if he decides to hold you for the full duration and there's nothing you can do about it,
Yeah.
It to me seems like they should have made it that persistence has a lesser effect on the grab if that's what they wanted to do with it.
Yeah.
But just having persistence have no effect on a hard CC feels kind of scary.
That seemed like a long stun. Like, he holds you for a while. You got to remember, there's other people around that are going to be, going in. That's going to make skill shots very easy to land. You just aim it at your Iran that's holding someone, and you'll hit it.
And for the most part, I don't see Iran's holding on to people for very long in the majority of cases.
Right.
In a team fight, Iran isn't going to want to stand there and just hold this one person as most often, I wouldn't think, because he wants to do his own damage. He wants to cast his ult. He wants to fear everybody. He wants to do these other things, his other go buttons, really. And so I really expect most Irans are going to grab and immediately toss people the majority of the time. So having persistence work would help that be more of a thing, rather than making Irans stand there and just hold the person long enough to slam them into the ground.
If you wanted to throw somebody into your team, you would have to plan your angle of attack a little bit better.
Absolutely. And that's, I don't think I asked them, and it didn't show in the Iran spotlight, but I wonder if you can turn 180 once you have them grabbed, or if it's
they
only
said you could turn. They didn't say how much you could turn.
Yeah. So, because they're in the spotlight, we saw that he turned a little bit when he tossed Marina off the side of the lane, but we don't know if that he can do like if I could run into them, turn around and throw them toward my team, or if I have to be approaching from a flank to do that. That's the I guess the little things we'd have to figure out.
I hope that you have to flank to do that. Like, I think it's just a little too overpowered to just spin 180 and toss somebody, wherever you want them, no matter how you approach the situation.
And you're going to get those 4,000 DPI mouse warriors that can do that 180 in a millisecond, flip around, toss Marina out before anybody could even say go. 100% that's going to happen.
They just pick you up and then start spinning the crap out of you, and your screen's going crazy. It's an actual attack on the player behind the character.
I love it. Great plan. Please let this be a thing.
Oh, no, please don't.
I've got DPI settings on my mouse. I'll just crank them all the way up whenever I'm playing Iran. Just not to spin them. I'll just close my eyes and just scramble the mouse back and forth.
We have to take some Dramamine before I play against Iran.
Oh, God. I love it.
So they did talk about the myth release schedule once they get into the swing of things, and they're shooting for, depending on bugs, once a month, one myth a month. I think that might be a little bit ambitious. Paragon had hashtag every 3 weeks, which was basically a month. That was way too early. That was way too quick.
And they did it for a long time too, which is part of the problem.
Yeah, they stuck to it.
Like, it's one thing when you're building hype around your game, right? And going from a beta to a full release type feeling, having that every 3 weeks we're going to get somebody new. I understand that. But when you sustain that over the course of a year and a half, 2 years, that's insane. The turnaround time, either the turnaround time on new things or the pipeline you have to have fleshed out before that are really big in both directions.
Yeah, I don't think they should have said any time frames at all for this question. I think by saying a month, even though they did have the caveat, it depends on bugs, and Skipper was very careful to say that, it may not always be a month. Just saying a month at all, people are going to be like, there's going to be a myth a month. That's that's what people heard in their heads. There's going to be a myth a month, and when there's not a myth a month, it's there's going to be hell to pay. People are going to be pissed.
This seems to be a recurring theme with them, right?
Yes.
Is they don't really commit to a date. They say this is what we're hoping for. But what they don't realize is that even as a hope, you're solidifying that date or that time frame in people's minds.
Right.
Even if you're saying it may not happen by the end of Q1, everybody's expecting it by the end of Q1. That's just how the public opinion works on that kind of stuff.
When Marina's Spotlight didn't come out on Friday, I was like, what the what?
Even in my Discord, everybody was like, so Marina Spotlight, what's going on? Or even there was no creator video this week, and you and I were messaging about that too. They've trained us into this habit, and then they broke it, and it was like, but
Yeah.
wait, now what's going on? I'm lost.
You can't ring the bell and then not give the dogs their food,
Yeah,
man. That's not
come
how
on,
it
man.
works.
I wake up Wednesday mornings with one thing in mind.
Oh, all right. What else have we got, Jelly?
So they mentioned, we said earlier, the overseers, that they still do exist.
Right.
They didn't go into any detail about them. They showed a silhouette of their class icon, a new one. It's not the same one as before. I assume it got updated in conjunction with all the other classes when they did all the new art for them. They showed the silhouette of that, but they mentioned that overseers probably won't be around until the beta, which is not terribly surprising, honestly. It's kind of sad because we've wanted to know what the overseers have done for a long time, several years at this point. But I'd rather they focus on what we have now, getting that running smoothly before they start instituting more than they feel like they can handle.
Right. And they've been saying for a while that overseers, we're not going to see them until at least the beta. So
Yeah.
They asked. Somebody asked if camps could be brought together like they can be in LoL, like what the leash radius is. They didn't say what the leash radius was going to be, but they did say that at least in the alpha, until they have everything tested and worked out, you will not be able to bring camps together like you can in League of Legends.
Which I have mixed feelings about. I understand to an extent. I understand why that's the feeling and why they don't want to have that be a mechanic, because it might make clearing the jungle faster than they want it to be, at least initially. But by that same regard, when you have 38 jungle camps, having to go and clear them one by one, even if they're close enough to potentially have that leash ability into each other, is going to take a long time.
Yeah.
So I feel like in some camps, you won't be able to do it. It'll just be too far from camp to camp. But if there was one on either side of a wall from each other that you could have meet in the middle, that'd be useful and present a skill disparity for higher skilled junglers that know to leash those two camps together to get the clear faster, to save them 15 seconds to get a gank earlier, whatever it may be.
Well, I'm glad you're around because I didn't think of any of that.
The jungler in me wants to optimization. Got to find the best paths all the time.
One thing interesting Noxus did mention is that he wants to bring it, like right now, the camps, as we've seen the camps, they all look like little raptors. He wants to bring in more of the monsters from the lore in as jungle camps. I would love to see that going forward in the future. No time frame on that. We don't even know if it's going to happen, but I think that's a cool idea that I'd like to see it.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think diversity in that, and even lore explanation for the people that love lore, that's a small detail that people can get behind.
Right.
We talked about the Malaya's ult already getting magical and physical lifesteal, but I think it's really cool to see that they're willing to go in depth on a lot of this stuff to answer these questions that the community's having, and really go more than just a basic answer with kind of what we've seen from them in the past of just like, yes, but that's as much as we're going to say, or no, but super vaguely. They were willing to, like, this community corner, they really went in depth with a lot of these answers and explained their reasoning and thoughts behind it, which
they actually answered the questions, which is a big divergence from what we've had the past couple months.
Yep, absolutely.
Somebody asked about Ripple Spell Rifle activating on Talos's abilities, since he can kind of double up his abilities, his Huntsman's Axe and his Mighty Kick, Mighty Uppercut. Ripple Spell Rifle, it works like in Paragon you had Stinger Boost, where you activate an ability, then the next basic attack you use is has extra magic damage. Is there an equivalent to that in like League of Legends, Jelly?
Yeah, in League, there's a item called Sheen, which is the same way, in that once you cast an ability, your next auto attack within a certain amount of time has additional magic damage dealt.
Okay.
And it sounds like it's going to work very similar to Sheen. I don't remember what the mechanics were necessarily of Stinger Boost, but Sheen in League of Legends, there is a cooldown after you use it. It's fairly short, but there is a cooldown, so you can't just really stack that up really, really quickly.
Right. And I checked Ripple Spell Rifle, and it's a 3-second cooldown before it can activate again. So I think if you timed it right, you could do it, but
Yeah. But they did mention that you can basic attack between the casts of Talos's abilities,
Right.
which I think was something a lot of us were wondering for combos, in that you basic attack, then his Q1, then basic attack, then Q2, then E, whatever it's going to be. So I think it's a really cool thing and adds, again, another level of that skill disparity you can see between high level Talos or someone just barely starting out playing Talos.
And I imagine you'll be able to speed up your attack damage a little bit doing that. That's the way you would play Crunch in Paragon, was to auto cancel into his abilities so that you were actually striking faster than your attack speed was, because
Hmm.
you would punch, left crunch punch, right crunch punch, and it would just, you would be weaving it in such a manner that it was a lot more damage than you would normally be able to pull off. I would like to see that, because that was definitely a skill thing in Paragon for playing Crunch. And I would like to see that in Talos too, since
I
he
know,
has so many abilities that he can weave.
I saw, I believe it was Skifter talking about basic attack canceling in the Discord a couple days ago. And if I remember correctly, he said that it's not something that you can do right now, because the way the animations are working,
Okay.
the animation needs to complete before the next thing would start. If I remember correctly, that's what he said. Please, Skifter, leave a comment if I'm wrong, and I'll bring it up next week. Um, which I'm okay with and not okay with at the same time. For me, it comes down to another one of those things that can be a different skill level and talent that somebody can develop playing the game longer, or learning the myth that they're playing, that they
Yeah.
know to weave their basic attacks between their abilities, versus just not knowing that you can do that or cancel the animation or anything like that. It's a skill disparity thing that can show a degree of separation between players.
That's the kind of stuff I like to see in a game. Now, the UI elements.
Hmm.
Dante's UI element for Say Hello was really cool. What do you think of that thing?
Loved it, actually.
Yeah.
We were talking about in the extra life test that it needed something. It needed to feel like you were doing more than just zooming in slightly. And I think that they captured that feeling really, really well. It felt like he got a heads up display. He was aiming down sights, ready to go. Looked really nice, looked really crisp and clean. So I loved it overall.
Yeah. They were talking about some of the other UI elements as well, like Malaya's element that tracks Garnet Soul and Iran's element that tracks his passive. They showed the UI element, but I didn't see in that UI element like how it was tracking anything. Like it would have been helpful if they would have stacked them to half and then put the UI element up.
So the only thing that I could figure out for both Malaya and Iran is that it's tracking stacks, because they both had a little number at the bottom of it.
Was there a number there?
Yeah. At least I know there was for Malaya. I'm 99% sure there was
Oh
for Iran
god,
as
for
well.
some reason I was looking at that thinking it was a zero, like the zero button on a freaking controller. The
Oh, no, no, no.
circle.
Yeah, no, that's a zero of like
Oh
how many
god
stacks
damn
you
it.
have. So
I
I think
totally
Garnet
totally
Soul,
thought that was the circle button on a controller.
you need 10 stacks to proc Garnet Soul, so that would just count up over time. And then Iran
Okay.
could be like Sevarog stacks, where it would just tell you how many stacks you have.
That makes so much more sense now. It was like when they did the community corner, they were talking about Dante's role, and they were like talking about ROLE. But when they first asked the question, I thought they meant his role, like his ability where he rolls. So when they start talking about his different uses and stuff, I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with his role? And then it dawned on me, oh, that
That
kind of
kind of
roll.
roll. Yeah. English is dumb.
That's a
English is
zero, not a circle.
the other thing they mentioned, now that you said that you thought it was a console circle button, is they showed the keyboard and controller layouts that they're hoping to have
Right?
for, and like what that's going to look like, which I think was really nice to show people. It was something to say like, okay, a lot of you have shown concern about having how many buttons that we're going to have to press and do all these things. This is what we expect it to look like. And I think overall the keyboard was fine. It'll take a little bit of getting used to press certain keys over others.
Right.
but for the most part, not a big deal. I personally hate using the function keys as level up keys, but I understand there's only so much real estate. I would love that I could use like left control and then the ability instead to level it up, similar to Aragon. But I understand if that's just coding wise or the way the buttons are laid out, that's not possible, at least initially. But I think the big one was seeing controller layout for a lot of people.
That was exciting for a lot of people because they showed both PlayStation and Xbox controllers, which was kind of nice.
And in the past, they've mentioned that they weren't sure controller support was going to come in the pre-alpha.
Right.
And I don't think they said specifically it was in the community corner. I think the layout just kind of made people assume that that's something they've already done or have in the works. Hopefully it does, because that'd be a great thing to have for a lot of those players that either have gotten a PC but want to use a controller, or have a controller that they can bring over when they don't like how the keyboard feels.
So, like Blood Hunter, I know that whenever he plays a PC game, he almost always plays on a controller because he's just more comfortable with the controller. There's got to be several people like that out there. Me personally, when I saw the controller layout, I was very confused because I don't use a controller a lot. I mainly play with mouse and keyboard, and I'm looking at like this points to that, and this points to that, and this. And I'm like, what? And like that would confuse the dog shit out of me. And like left toggle is toggle's special ability. I'm like, what? It looked like
I'm not a controller person either. So
looked a little, and I'm definitely gonna have to rebind the ultimate from F to R because that is not gonna work for me. I'm so used to hitting R for ultimate.
And that's the weird thing, is that there's an extra ability than most MOBAs.
Right.
It's not like Paragon. There were the same number of abilities, just one of them was on your right click. So it was the same number, and it wasn't hard to make that mental shift. R was still your ultimate. Like that, just universal rule of R is your ultimate still applied. And that's not the case here. So you're going to see a lot of people trying to hit their ultimate, and it's going to cast their third ability instead.
Yeah.
Which will be very strange. And will probably lead to like me playing other MOBAs and being very frustrated that I'm hitting my third ability and casting my ultimate, but you know, it's fine.
Not me. I'm just going to rebind that shit right from the top. In my game, spacebar is jump and R is ultimate.
Yep.
Or 100%. Reload. And then when I get done playing a game where I have to reload, I'm going to accidentally hit my ultimate when I'm playing the MOBA. That's
100%.
That's how I like my games, damn it.
Even when I was sitting watching the community corner, I would like pick up my keyboard and I was like, okay, so this is this, like putting my fingers on them, ready to like, okay, so this, press this button to do this. Okay, yeah, I'm following along. Like, 100%.
I don't know. I'll definitely be like, it's nice to see that stuff, but I'm definitely going to rebind everything to my liking. Like, actives are going to go on my thumb buttons, and
I'm happy that I rebinding to me isn't a big deal. I'll learn eventually, even though I'll hate it. I will learn. Having smart casting, which they've talked about having in the past, is a big deal to me for some reason.
Yes.
And it's the fact that they're working on that makes me beyond happy, because I can't stand the thing that bugs me about Predecessor is the lack of smart casting.
Yes.
And I'm like, I can't. God, yes. I just want the ability to go off. Like,
like especially playing Narbash, you want Thunk to go whenever you press it. You don't want to. I hate like being able to hold a stun like that is sometimes useful, but I would much rather just I hit the button, it goes.
Yep, 100%. But there's no worry, there's no thought process. It's okay, I'm pressing the thing, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, that's my main gripe with Predecessor right there. Ugh.
So anything else? I mean, in the community corner?
That's all I had for community corners, unless you had something else.
Nope, nothing for me there.
Right on. You want to talk about Marina for a bit?
Of course.
All right. What'd you think of the Marina Spotlight, Jelly?
Overall, I really enjoyed her Spotlight, and I think her abilities will be interesting and have a lot of interactions that'll be really cool. Out the gate, I want to talk about the thing I disliked the most, and then we can talk about the good things afterwards.
What could it be that you're about to talk about?
Her ultimate is so weird and out of place for her.
Really? Her ultimate?
No, I am not a fan of her ultimate in the slightest.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Riptide.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other thing, actually, now that you mention it. No, her ultimate to me doesn't match her theme at all.
Okay.
She
How
doesn't.
so?
She's never. Her theme has never included lightning, and none of her other abilities have lightning basis in them. And she's
Okay.
just suddenly using lightning. It's not like there's a rainstorm and lightning's a byproduct. It's just lightning. Like it's just randomly lightning that she's going to apply to a person over time. It feels weird to me. Also, it's all of her stuff has like blue, maybe slightly pearlescent coloring to it, and the lightning's purple.
Yeah.
Like it just overall, it seemed out of place on Marina.
Okay. See, it ties into her lore. So I was kind of expecting the lightning.
Okay.
So I don't know. I thought it fit in perfectly for her, to be honest. The ability to affect weather, I think, comes with, and water and all that stuff comes with lightning. I guess being a mermaid, you really probably wouldn't want to call upon lightning.
Which is the other thing.
But you'd zap the shit out of yourself. But I don't know. It felt really natural to me. I guess it's because I had read her lore like a long ass time ago, so I kind of knew what was coming. But.
Which, admittedly, I have not read her lore yet, so that I totally missed out on that part of it. But if you're gonna use lightning, to me, there should be more effect around it that ties into her. Right? There was no storm, there was no rain, there was no any of these other elements that there was just random lightning showing up from the sky, not even from her, like just dropping down on a person. It just felt weird to me.
Yeah. I don't know. It made sense. It didn't feel weird to me.
I'll have to be the minority.
We're going to disagree on that one. I thought it felt very natural for her.
But Riptide, we agree on. Go ahead.
Oh god, it looks like hell. It looks like absolute shit.
Yeah.
Just like a kiddie pool spawns in the middle of the lane, and they never use it in the video. They never use it over top of like uneven terrain, so it makes me wonder what that motherfucker looks like if you throw it in like the.
We are 100% gonna get half a pool sticking out of something. 100% we are. I guarantee it.
But they know. They've already said it. They know it looks like crap. I know who designed it.
Good for them.
I already made fun of them. I'm not going to say who it was.
At least they know about it, and they know they're going to fix it.
Yeah.
Because they need to. Very simply.
I think that really got me thinking. We'll get back to Marina here in a little bit. It really got me to thinking. That's UG's number one problem right now, I think, is inconsistency of quality.
Mm-hmm.
They have some stuff that it looks so freaking good. And then they have other stuff that is just not, it's just not up to snuff. And that is highlighted more in Marina's spotlight than any of the other spotlights. Because you have her shield, the Pearl of the Sea, that looks great.
Mm-hmm.
That looks really amazing. That looks really good. Her animations look really good. Her basic attack looks really good. And then you got Riptide turning it up in the middle of everything. So it people expect a little bit of consistency. Like, I don't know. I guess it's good that we know what they're capable of. Like, we've seen the high end, and we know that they can take that Riptide, that low end stuff, and bring it up to that level. But it's just a little jarring. To see that kind of thing, and that's
this little pool just spawn out of nothing and show up was
when other stuff looks so clean and well done. Like the character models are so beautiful, just really well done, amazing work done on them, and then you get some animations that are all wonky and stuff, and it's like I was expecting better animations based off of the quality of work you gave us with these character models. Mm-hmm. I think that's where the disconnect is coming for a lot of people, is just the inconsistency of quality there.
Yeah, I would completely agree with you on that. And it detracts, the bad things detract from the good. Right? The good don't bring them up. Most people aren't going to see the good things and be like, yeah, it has weak animations to it or clunky animations. But I'm ignoring those and look at these models. Most people aren't like that. They're going to bring the good parts down to match the bad. And so weird things like a kiddie pool, which Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of skin potential for a kiddie pool to show up at like random places. And like summer Marina skin that like has a full inflatable kiddie pool. Good top tier. 10% by the way,
Magnifique.
you'd be. Um
That could be a beach ball that pops.
Yes. Which that kind of brings me to what I wanted to say is for that ability, I understand that they wanted to show that Marina walks faster in water and give her like the pool of water to do so in.
Right.
But it seems like it should just be a animation over the top of the ground instead of spawning an entity into
Right.
it.
That's what I said. I would like to see it be the slow effect, only bigger and blue.
Exactly. Which was my exact thought, that she kind of releases that effect around, she gains move speed while she's in it. Other people get slowed, and like it made sense to me that that's what it could look like. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what they end up doing with it.
I guess we'll just have to focus on that high level of quality that they brought us and look forward to them making it consistent across the board. So until then, you're going to see a lot of nasty comments. But
absolutely. I do kind of want to talk about her shield a little bit more. The fact that her shield is going to have charges and they're diminishing returns on multiple uses, I think was a really cool idea. I was expecting she could maybe shield one ally or something among those lines. But the fact that she can do multiple people, including herself, I think it was a great addition. And I think will open up a lot of potential for her in later game scenarios.
Oh yeah, most definitely. That was a really good choice given the charges. Again, animation for that looked really good. The particle effects looked really good. You are going to have to like there's some time like before you cast it. Like she does this whole like before rainbow with her trident.
This is not the carry you're looking for.
You do not want to hit him anymore. But it takes a while before you cast that shield, so you can't just instantly save somebody's ass. You got to be a little bit predictive with it, which again differentiates skill levels, and I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see if with Marina's kit and the way it works, she might end up being somebody that rotates around the map a little bit more because of that multi-shield, that she can drop her shield on the carry, and then if the jungler's nearby, run into the jungle, shield the jungler with the second charge, and then come back. Or take a cannon down to mid lane, shield the mid laner, and come back.
Yeah.
And maybe potentially help her team in a lot of those ways, creating new scenarios to do that.
It didn't look like it lasted very long, though. Like, there's definitely a duration on that sucker. She would make a very good roaming support just because if she stuck to the river, which dissects the map, she could run faster than anybody. So she could possibly rotate faster than anybody else in the game.
Yeah. The weird thing I noticed with the river in this spotlight as well, and I compared it to Dante's to double check, unless Marina is considerably larger than Dante, the size of the river's changed. Or the depth or something. Because it went up to like her mid-calf, and on Dante, it was on his waist. Like, it was a very big height difference with the two of them running through the same section of river toward the obelisk, which I swear to God, UG, tell me what the obelisk does already. I'm tired of being taunted with it.
It was thinner too, wasn't it?
It seemed thinner as well, yeah.
Maybe when it rains, the river will flood.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I mean,
I'll just pull stuff out of my ass at this point.
Maybe if they add a hurricane effect where it rains with Marina's ultimate, it'll make the river rise.
I don't really think I have too much to say more about Marina. She looks like a really fun support. She has a lot of great abilities. I think there's a lot of potential to just build her straight mage because she has a lot of damaging spells and a lot of self-healing that she can pull off. What do you think of the mark? Her passive ability.
I think it's going to be, it helps her solidify herself as a duo laner.
Right.
I think is really what that mark does.
Overall, I think that's the whole design behind the mark. Yes.
Yeah. Overall, it's a mark. It's not. To me, it is what it is. I'm not a fan of it, but I don't hate it either. But I think that's exactly what it was for: is to solidify her as you're not going to play her in the void lane. You're not going to play her as a solo laner. she will be in the duo lane, whether that's as a magic carry or a support. She needs to be in that lane.
Right.
To maximize her potential at the very least.
Yeah, to maximize the benefit that she brings to the party.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you had to say about Marina?
I think that's it. Oh, her skin. Her skin looks great.
Skin. Hey, skin.
Yeah. Her skin looks incredible.
Yeah, it looked really good. I'm very happy that they listened to us. I think we brought that up during the community corner that we wanted them to bring those skins back at the end. Was that there? When were we talking about that? That was because
we talked about it on EP last week. Was it just last week? Goodness gracious. I don't even know. I don't even know. We've talked about it at some point in the past. At this point, all the ETs blur together. It seems like just last week we were talking about how this is going to be the podcast for when the game comes out in a couple weeks, and here we are 26 weeks later. 27 weeks later.
Yeah, that skin though.
That is really, really good.
I usually don't like skins more than base models. I like her skin way more than her base.
Yeah, I absolutely do as well. It looked incredible. I do also want to briefly mention the fact that she did like a triple backflip when she landed in the fountain.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Like, when she spawns in, she comes in hard.
Like, it caught me so off guard. I was taking a drink of soda right as that happened and full on snorted my drink because I died laughing. Like, oh my god. It was
she Sonics her ass up in there, doesn't she?
I don't know if that was intentional or if like the animation glitched and they didn't fix it or what that was. But it was so funny. I want it to be her actual animation from now on where she just triple backflips. Oh man.
Her back animation was very graceful and everything. So you back, and then the next thing you see is Wah!
She just turned into the human Beyblade and just, oh man, so good, so good.
Ugh.
I want all triple backflip animations for recall from now on, please.
I want to be able to race her and Dante across the map rolling and collect up a bunch of coins and stuff and bop on some robots and turn them into animals.
Now all we need is a box meme that one of the characters turns into a box and it'll be great. I'll be happy.
Oh, shit. No. Is that it? Is that everything you got to say?
That's all I got.
That's all you got? All right.
That's all I got this week.
Let's move into plugs. Jelly, what you got going?
Videos. Back to making videos this week.
Super stoked
about that. So we're going to, kind of catch up on all the stuff that we've missed and continue the item breakdowns that I've been doing and all that kind of stuff. So super stoked to be back for that. And streams like normal. So other than that, that's it. What about you, Mangoose?
Videos too. I'm going to be doing a lot of shorts. People have been digging my kind of job blog stuff. Recorded a house today that had a meth lab behind it that we didn't know about for like ever.
Sweet.
But yeah, good times.
Yeah, no big deal.
But yeah, I think that Ethereal GG. Check out the website as always. But I think that's going to wrap it up for this week. We've seen the really high level of quality that Ethereal can bring to the table. Let's cheer them on as they bring their not so great aspects up to speed. And until then, I hope you all join us as we enter the ether.